And we're just in the middle of this recession.
It's going to take a while to restore confidence in the financial system.
In this unprecedented financial crisis,
It's kind of a vicious circle.
Unemployment, bankruptcies, and chaos. These are some of the very common things that happen during a recession. The Great Depression of 1929, oil shock of 1973, Asian crisis of 1997, and the worst in history, financial crisis of 2008. Statistically, a recession lasts 17 months, and we all know the disaster it causes may take years to recover from. But did you ever wonder why recessions occur? What are its causes? To know all the answers, keep watching till the end. In conventional terms, when a country's GDP is negative for 2 consecutive quarters, it's called a recession. But this definition is not so appropriate because there can be serious economic problems without a negative GDP for 2 quarters. Let's take this for instance. Nation A had a negative GDP of 4% in the first quarter, and in the next one it depicted a growth of 1%. Then again a 4% decline and 1% growth. Now tell me, would you not say that the nation is in a financial crisis? So here's a better one. A recession is a significant and long-lasting decline in economic activity, a decline in production, and therefore an imbalance in demand and supply. There are broadly 2 causes of a recession: interest rates and imbalance in demand and supply. Interest rates is a very important pillar in keeping the economy stable. Too much of it and too less of it, both are problems. If it's negative, it's called deflation, a state where things started getting cheaper. You want to buy a car and the prices are going to decrease in the next month. So tell me, would you wait or buy the car right away? After World War I, the US economy faced deflation, and this became the cause of the recession of 1920. On the other hand, when prices are too high, it's called hyperinflation. Imagine you are a billionaire and you don't have enough money to buy food. That was a scenario in Venezuela. The government printed too much money, but there was not enough economic growth, so the prices increased, causing hyperinflation. When prices are high, consumers spend less, which means it's hard for businesses to make profits. And they even don't take much loans, so the banks cannot make money. And that creates a vicious cycle that is really hard to get out of. And that is exactly what we call recession. Demand and supply. 2 simple words, right? But volatility in either of them can cause a disaster. If there are 10 cookies and 10 people want to buy it, that's an equilibrium. But if 5 more people jump in, which means there's not enough supply to meet the demand, prices rise. And if 5 people walk out, that means less demand and extra supply, prices decrease. Now look at it from a bigger scale. For an economy to grow and most importantly, not end up in a recession, the GDP or simply production or what we can call supply must meet the demand. Of course, there won't be a perfect equilibrium, but a drastic change can definitely cause problems. But a question that might come in your mind is, how can this happen? How can there be an imbalance in demand and supply? And how can interest rates go up or low? There's not a specific reason, but here are some of the very notable ones. Reason number 1, not enough wages. Prices are increasing, but your salary is not. In that case, would you go on that luxurious vacation or buy a new phone? Of course not. When salaries and wages do not match the pace of inflation, consumer spending gets less, which means businesses can run out of money, which in turn means less production of goods, and financial crisis means higher deflation, and a vicious cycle gets formed. Reason number 2, loss of confidence. If people are not happy with a certain government policy, or for some reason, if they had lost trust in the government or the economy, they might spend less and would create an imbalance in demand and supply. On top of that, investors would invest less money, causing further problems. Bubbles. In the late 20th century, a company named Netscape suddenly caught a lot of attention. Its issue price was first declared to be $14. At the last moment, it was doubled, but even after all of this, The stock opened at $72 per share. Investors gained immense trust in technology. Everyone had a dream of building a tech startup. Just with the help of an idea, so-called entrepreneurs were able to get huge funding. But the eyes of these investors and so-called entrepreneurs opened in 2000. But it was too late, causing the dot-com bubble to burst. People lost trust in the economy and investors pulled back their money, causing a recession. If you want a separate video on economic bubbles, make sure to comment below. Let's revise what we have learned. A recession is a significant and long-lasting decline in economic activity. It happens due to two reasons: imbalance in demand and supply, or a sudden spike or decline in interest rates. In the second part of this series, we will discuss why recessions are inevitable and also why they are necessary. If you feel like you got some value after watching this video, then consider subscribing.